I'm done.
Okay, so we're live.
Yeah, I'm set.
Okay, hi everyone. You're welcome to Let's Discuss, where we talk about practical matters that impact on our lives and faiths. The most important bit of Let's Discuss is for us to be transformed by what we're talking about. The aim of Let's Discuss is to ensure that we get not just one side or two sides of a particular matter, but all sides of the matter. God bless you. For those of you joining us for the first time, feel free to like, share, and more importantly, participate, because Let's Discuss is not about one or two people. It's about all of us coming together to share our views. Today, we'll be talking about leading by example. And I want us to first start by thinking about a leader. You just think about a leader that's deeply impacted you. I'm sure you'd realize that it's not just their words, but their consistent actions and character and the way they've treated people that's left a mark with you. Leading by example is not by being perfect, it's by leading authentically, even in hard moments, and being, how will I say it, being real, original, and consistently showing up, not just in words, but in actions. I believe that you don't need to wear a badge or have a huge platform to make a difference for the kingdom. Many of the influencers or the greatest influencers of the Bible have simply lived with excellence and integrity, and others have followed. And they love examples of that. Think people like Ruth, people like Lydia, Dorcas. They're people that the Bible talks a lot about, highly of, but they've just simply lived with excellence and integrity, and others have followed. So tonight we'll be talking about how you can become a living example that ignites faith, unity, and purpose in those around you. Um, Today we have a special guest. A lot of you will know him. He's not a guest. He's part of us in the house. We have Apostle Sam. Evangelist Sam Newben, or Apostle as well. Yeah, Apostle. So he's an apostle and an evangelist. But something more than his titles is his heart for evangelism, his heart for the church to reclaim his power and to be relevant on the world stage. He's been on this platform once or twice now, and both of the sessions were fire packed. I will try and drop a link to his previous sessions for those who have not listened to him. But you have the opportunity tonight. Tonight is going to be a powerful one. So thank you, sir, for honoring, our invitation.
It's
And
always my pleasure, sir.
yeah, so thank you so much. On today's topic, leading by example, one of the things, before I trade open to you, is I've discovered that some of the most influential people don't talk the loudest in terms of the real leaders. And there is this perception that leadership involves being loud, being out there, having a big platform, being popular. What's your view about that? Because I think that holds people back from seeing themselves as leaders and seeing some other people with all the noise, apparatus, and maybe a big platform as the genuine and authentic leaders.
That question is directed to me.
Yeah, it's not. I just, but feel free to. You
Okay.
can include it in some of the conversations we'll have later. Just want to
Okay.
get your take about it, because when I think about leadership, a lot of people don't see themselves as leaders. I think some people would even see today's topic and drop off and say, this is meant for some people. This is not for me. And I just wanted to start with that around who is a leader? What does it take to be a leader? And why does everyone either have the potential, the calling to be a leader? And what, just to bring it to life for a few people who might be thinking, I'm not a leader, maybe this doesn't apply to me.
No, the truth of the matter is that everyone is a leader in one capacity or the other. It only determines who is following you. And some people are born to lead. They just have these traits of leadership in them. And while others are trained to lead. But ultimately, what we need to really look at is, what is the motivation for you wanting to lead? Because being in the front is where you will be confronted. Now, I'm not saying it in a negative way or in a way that people should begin to think, oh, I'm going to be attacked or something. Leadership is about responsibility. So a leader is someone who is influential, someone who gets into a place, and the first thing is looking at how things can go well for others. So true leaders think less of themselves. And so that is what I can really say about leadership. And then if you want to look at it from another dimension, some are born leaders. That is why we have the educational institution to help people develop who they are born to be. So that is what I can say about that. Some realize along the line that they are leaders. But ultimately, for me, the true definition of leadership or a leader is someone who carries responsibility, and someone who is responsive, and someone who is responsible.
So that's a powerful one. I've heard about the responsibility before. Can you shed more light on that responsive, because it's a new one I haven't heard before, and yeah, I want to get more understanding on it.
Now, there are 3 R's in leadership. The first one is responsible. The second one is responsive. And the third one is responsibility. Now, why someone might be listening to me now and said, okay, I am born to be a leader, and why do I need to be trained to become that leader? The reason is leadership places you in a position where your words can determine who lives and who dies. And when I talk about who lives and who dies, it doesn't have, when I talk about die, I'm not talking about the physical death. I mean, there are people following leaders who have already died, because those leaders understand the games of psychology.
Mm.
So their minds have been captured already.
Hmm.
That even when the leader is wrong, they dare not say anything.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about that. And if that will be it, just like what Paul said when he was writing to the Corinthians, he said, till today, when people open the law and read it, there is still a veil on their face.
Hmm.
The leadership of Moses was so tough that if you are in the church of Pastor Moses, forgiveness does not exist. You cross the line, you go. So when you are responsible, it shows that you understand your limitation as a person and you have a well-coordinated life. Because one of the true mark of real leadership is someone that people can look up to and emulate. Because another dangerous, or let me say another thing of a concern to me, because I want to be careful with words, is there are people who interpret the laughter of a leader to mean something.
Wow. Wow.
There are people who will see a leader doing something and they assume that if he can do this thing is right. So that is why every leader needs serious training to be able to understand the role and characteristics of being a responsible leader. And then the second arrow in that leadership is being responsive. Now, when you are responsive as a leader, it means you are so humble that you can learn from a 3-year-old boy. You are so humble that when your people cite that this thing you are doing, they don't like it, you are bold enough to come and apologize that I made a mistake.
Wow.
You carry yourself in such a way that you are reasonable. When people attack you, those that are your subordinate, you know that you have the power to make a decree, but you refuse. You are sensitive to the fact that the universe has given you a responsibility, and the responsibility has zero tolerance for destruction.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
There's a practical example of Jesus passing through the same terrain that it was believed that Elijah had passed through, where he called down fire. And when he came to that village, they didn't receive him. The disciples said, why not call down fire? Let fire consume these people because you have the power. His response was very powerful. He said, you don't know what manner of spirit you carry.
Mm. Mm.
In other words, it is not a destructive spirit.
Mm. Mm.
There's no way you're going to tell me that some people came to pick a prophet and he called down fire and fire came and killed the people and he said that's godly. It is not godly. It is the wrong use of authority.
Mm. Mm.
And all of it is due to the fact that you cannot just come off stage and begin to exert influence as a leader. You must be responsive to a level where you sit down and be taught.
Wow. Wow.
So when you see a leader that is not responsive, it's someone that cannot be taught.
Mm. Mm.
And you will hear them quote Bibles verses like, he that is spiritual judges all things and cannot be judged by any man.
Mm.
That's someone who will tell you that the only qualified teacher to teach me is the Holy Spirit. So that one is not responsive. No matter what you talk to his ears, he will not listen.
Mm.
He's not responsive. It's like when his mind is fixed over something. And that kind of a leader doesn't have any contrary voice in his team.
Mm.
Because it's going to send you out.
Wow. Wow.
So as a leader, one of the way I know you are responsive is there must be men in your team who disagree with you and you don't see them as enemies.
Wow. This one is really deep. I don't even know what to say to this because I know that the general tendency is to, especially in many settings, anyone that disagrees with the leader is seen as a rebel and they get kicked out. Whereas in organizations that have survived for many years and the organizations, corporate organizations, there are always some departments that put in check, like the audit, the compliance, they put in check the people who are making the decisions. What
Yeah.
you've said is really profound, because most times people think that leadership is being able to control everybody all of the time. And
No.
yeah, and just for everyone listening, sorry, let me just welcome some of the messages. We've had some messages already. Today's topic, I want us to treat it as a double-edged sword. The first edge is for us to be able to understand the leadership we are under and decide whether it's a good thing for us.
Yeah.
As transformation isn't by mouth, transformation is by making hard, difficult decisions. The aim of Let's Discuss is not just to talk about things, but it's for it to lead to a concrete benefit for everyone. One side of today's conversation is for us to be able to critically understand the leadership structures we're under and make decisions and amendments as necessary. And the other side is pointing at us, because almost everyone on this platform is a leader, is for us to imbibe some of these principles so that we can be more effective for God and even make better impacts on this world. So let me just take a few contributions so far. We have Endo Steve. So he said, "Good evening, nice to be here. I'm watching you from Zuru." So these are your people. A lot of people who don't know about Apostle Sam, he used to be in the northern areas of Nigeria, founding and leading Macedonia missions call, which
Yeah.
comprises of a lot of different ministries in economically disadvantaged areas of Nigeria with high resistance to the gospel. I think you always choose the hard parts, sir. Economically disadvantaged area, physically remote in many cases, with high resistance to the gospel. And Macedonian Missions Call had lots of members across, I think at one point, about 23 states in Nigeria, I believe.
I mean, all of it. Like Zuru, particularly, I go to Zuru and I spend 2 weeks
Wow.
every year, May.
Wow.
And I try to do. I've been to Medu. There's no part in the north I've not
No,
crossed.
you've not.
When I went to Medigri to do a 3 days conference, they said they are going to kill you. I said, "Is it not human beings that are living there? I'm going."
Yeah. So we have Minister Steve said, "Good evening, nice to be here watching you from Zuru." We have Bisa Winner. So she said, "Good evening, everyone. It feels great to fellowship here, watching live from Zuru as well."
Oh, same
I
Zuru.
think we need to do something special for Zuru now. My heart is now in Zuru.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. Good leaders should be selfless. So this is my spiritual mom, and so then we have my senior mentor. She said, "Good evening, everyone." We have Minister Steve Ricoto. He said, "Deep inside, God bless you, sir. I am blessed." And we have Pastor Kupolui. She said, "Self and man made leaders do not have a teachable spirit. They also resist criticisms." And someone said, this Macedonia, watching live from Abuja. I think this would be Pastor Henry or
Yes. Oh, Pastor Amos.
Pastor. So you're welcome, everyone. Sorry, I've disrupted quite a while today, but I think this topic is so important for us to get right, because the leadership we follow and the leadership we provide, like you rightly said, will determine the success of our journey here in this world.
Yes. Yes, that is what I was trying to say. about leader, the three arrows of leadership: responsible, responsive. When a responsible leader, you must have a track record of a life without offense to God and to man. You might not get it right all the time, but you must be able to acknowledge the fact that you got it wrong. Then responsive are the type of leaders that they have a teachable spirit. They are willing to learn. They don't look down on anyone. When they have people in their team that do not agree with their concept of leadership, they find a way to make sure that there is still a peaceful coexistence. Responsive leaders are leaders who will spend over 3 million to attend a leadership conference. That's because they are looking for ways to be better so that they can help their people. Now, when you become responsible and you take the responsibility of being responsive, it will ease your responsibilities as a leader. Because your characteristics in response is in being responsible and your attribute in the domain of being responsive will attract people who will come into your circle with the objective of helping you, because they know that if you are helped, many others will be helped. And so when they come in, they begin to take care of so many responsibilities that you should have been the one shouldering them. But when you meet a leader who tells you that the only person that can teach him is the Holy Spirit, don't forget that that same leader, if you catch him or catch them in their quiet time, they are reading books. But when they come out, they tell you it's only the Holy Spirit that teaches them. Now, those are the kind of leaders that don't want to be held accountable for any reason. And then if you get into a leadership where you see that every dissenting opinion or disagreement tantamount to you becoming a notable enemy, that the leadership will cast aspersion on your person, they will project negative energy towards you, then that means what is going on there is not leadership, it is cultism. There must be people, you must be able to open up yourself and listen to people who disagree with you. Now, let me tell you the danger of not being responsive as a leader. A responsive leader is the one who listens to counsel, who is teachable, who has the audacity and the boldness to come out and say, I'm sorry. But let me show you something in the Bible. Probably is a lesson you have never taken note of. When the king called for 100, this particular king in the Bible, he had authority over 127 provinces. Because don't forget what I'm driving at. When you are responsible, you are responsive, you will attract men of quality who will come into your team to help you, because they know that you are not seeing yourself as Alpha and Omega.
Wow.
A responsive leader is the one that before he takes some major decision, he will call his men and try to negotiate with them to hear what they have to say. If you become a leader that no matter what you do, nobody can say otherwise, anybody that says otherwise is seen as an enemy, you are blind leading the blind, and both of you will fall into a ditch. Yes, because the glory of every leadership is in the strength of its followership. If you become a leader without anyone following you, it is not your fault. It is because you are not teachable. Now, this king who had authority over 127 provinces, after he had been giving them, hosting them, and feeding them for about 2 weeks, 7 days, I think so, then he said he should bring forth his wife. He wanted to show his visitors his wife, who was Vashti. And by right, when such an occasion is going on, the king is busy, the queen is also busy. But Vashti didn't come to honor that invitation from her husband. And what did the husband do? The husband called for his counselors to talk to him. See, the difference between a progressive nation and a retrogressive nation is in the strength of its leadership.
Wow.
Sometimes I think about myself and my people and say, what's wrong with being black? What is going on with most of our black nations? It's only in the black nation you have one man sitting on the presidency for over 50 years. At 95, you still want to contest election. See, the beauty of every nation is in the strength of its leadership. The beauty of every organization is in the strength of leadership. And it has nothing to do with just the leader. When you are responsible, you are responsive, you attract responsible and responsive men too, who will come into your cabinet to help you succeed. The king wanted to take decision against over the wife that refused to come, Vashti. And he called for the counselors. 7 of them, they came and then they began to talk. And then one of the counselors rose up, Memucan, and said the very fact that Queen Vashti has done this, not remembering her place of influence, is a proof that other women in the kingdom will disobey their husband. Because after all, if the wife of the king could disobey the husband in this public domain, in this program that is broadcasted live, is a bad example, and the king took that decision. Then something happened along the line in the future, where one man began to visit a psychic 12 calendar month because he wanted to destroy the Jews. And he came to the king to tell the king that there's a certain people in this nation who don't obey you. They work against the policies of the government, and I want them to be destroyed. And the king forgot to call his counselors and said, this is a more weightier matter. I need you both to deliberate on this issue. He didn't do that. He took the decision all by himself. And so when the king recognized that, he told the guy, said, you deserve to leave the earth. Because I don't know what you put on me that made me forget that I was supposed to listen to my counselors. So when you are responsible as a leader, I think I want to allow you to talk here. I know you want to say something.
No, please. That was really deep. That the king realized that he needed to make the decision not just by himself, but with the council. So no, please continue, sir. That's really profound.
Now, in the issue of the king's wife, he called for the counselors. But when it came to the issue of an entire tribe in his kingdom, with so many destinies that would have been under danger, he forgot to call his counselors. And so when he realized it and said, I've made this mistake, what he did was to issue another edict and said, according to the laws of the Medes and the Persians, whatsoever the king says becomes a constitution. It cannot be revoked. So since I've already said Haman should go ahead to destroy this tribe of people, he said, now I am saying, because he's going to do it. Now I am saying you people should rise up and defend yourself. That is to tell you the power and the influence of leadership. Where you are positioned as a leader, that is why any man who claims to lead a certain group of people, even if it's 5 people you are leading, one of the things that will make me recognize your leadership as a healthy one is the volume of your library and the time you invest in studying. Because one word from your mouth can alter a destiny. So listen to me. If you are a leader, you must be responsible and you must be responsive. If you pass these two exams, and then your responsibility become less. When you are responsible, it means you are sincere with the people you are serving. Your life is an open book. Your people can trust you. Your people know that you have the best in your heart for them. And then you become responsive. You listen to the people. It is only in Africa where people elect a government who become very stupid after election. The same people, I say that in love, the same people who gave you power, you cannot even come to do a briefing on them to talk to them about the ills and their concerns. It is a blessing to be black, but it is a cost to have a black skin and a black heart. That is why Africa is where it is. We have men who are so desperate for the next election, not the next generation.
Wow. Desperate for the next election, not the next generation. Wow.
That is the issue. They can kill, they can do. In fact, in all over Africa, we have accidental leaders.
Mm.
You verify their track record of leadership. It will be they score 0 in many aspects of it.
Yeah.
And yet, because it is not accountable. So I wasn't prepared to say that. But I'm trying to say that everyone is born with the potential to lead.
Mm.
It depends on who is your followers.
Yeah.
There are some that for their entire life, the best they can lead is their family unit. That too is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because the society is ultimately shaped by the quality of the family. Let me say that again. Every society is a victim of how people raise their family within that culture.
Wow.
So you may say you are not a leader, you are not popular, you are not. No, you are still a leader.
Mm.
In your home, you are the leader.
Mm.
How is your home?
Wow.
Can your wife trust your leadership?
Mm.
What about your children?
Yeah.
Because the only picture the children have for this life is you and your wife. How are you treating their mama? I was listening to a prisoner who said that one of the greatest lessons he has learned in life is his entire life has been characterized because he had a 2 hour that was bad.
Wow. Just 2 hours.
2 hours that he did something and they forgot who he has ever been.
Mm.
That 2 hours is the sum total of his life.
Mm.
You cannot afford to make mistake as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to chip in as well because some people will think, well, leadership, I don't have a lot of people who are following me or something. But one of the things I do at times is to read about great people in both with an open mind. There were two people I read about, great people. I'm sure some of us will know them. One of them was this great guy, Gandhi, in India, who
Yeah.
is widely regarded as the father of India. Another
Yeah.
person was Karl Marx, who created communism. He wrote the theory, and we know that at one point, half of the world was in under communist rule. In fact, places like China, Russia, and things like that, they still have elements of communist rule. For Gandhi, a lot of the things he later did, if we look at it, the quiet, peaceful resistance, were based on the Bible. He lived with a Christian family for many years. So you can go and
Mhm.
check this, anyone. It's there in his memos and everything. They said
Yeah.
he lived with a Christian family, but he said, I like their Christ, but I
Mm.
don't like their behavior. He had an opportunity to encounter the teachings of Christ, but the family he lived with, I'm sure they would have just thought, oh, we are not leaders. Let's just live our lives anyhow. But that young man that was living with them, they didn't know that he was going to go on and impact millions and billions of people. Karl Marx, as well, a lot of people don't know, is actually Jewish. he he got disconnected with the church and Christian teachings and began to say, look, an ideal world should be a place that isn't capitalist, because he's seen a lot of people use the gospel for, monetary rewards. And that was what influenced him. When he died, only 13 people attended his funeral. But some years later, half of the world was under communist rule. So just want to use that to encourage people to say, this teaching applies to you. Don't think I only have a few people. You don't know the people connected to you, just as Apostle said. Your family, friends, connections, you don't know where God is going to take them to. And your impact would be what they carry going forward. Yeah.
And when we come to the Christian circle, what we have in our leadership, 98% are slave masters who have captured the minds of the people, and they are not willing to let them go because the plantation will suffer. Sometimes it is sad for me to see what is going on within the circle of those. I read about Mahatma Gandhi. A lot of people assume him to be a spiritual leader or a religious leader. He was not. He was a political leader who was more interested in peace than war, who understood that peace was more precious than triumph. And he came on board and tried to effect that change and resisted those that were holding his people captive. He started doing a daily march in protest that no, this oppression has to come to an end. Mahatma Gandhi. And very unfortunately, great reformative leaders are never appreciated until their time is over. And that's the sad thing about it. We have people who are not sensitive to what is going on. Religiously, a lot of people's minds have been captured. Before we even start, I was reading through this when I had to write it out. This young man, they said, so Absalom did to all Israel who came to the king for judgment, and Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. That's what most religious leaders have done. And to be sincere with you, most of them are doing this innocently. And most of them are also sincerely wrong. That's because in Africa, we have a culture of if you place your hands on somebody and the headache that was disturbing the person goes, automatically you become a leader. And so then, when you get to a level where you believe that the only person that can teach you is the Holy Spirit, then I know that you are irredeemable. You are heading to a ditch. And so if you are listening to me as a Christian leader, let me tell you the truth. Those that brought the gospel to Africa have moved on. But most of you have been stuck with it. What kind of leadership are we providing our kids? I see kids in China, they are being trained on how to couple iPhone, laptop, LG television, these Samsung products. But us in Africa, we are struggling to empower our kids with microphones, singing lyrics that they don't understand and they will never understand. So we have a leadership problem. This is a global pandemic for leaders. In fact, the problem of this whole world is political and religious leadership. Because the political leadership channel its strength on deception because they want to remain in office. Religious leadership channel its own capacity in capturing the minds of the people. I've never seen a generation of people who are incapable of thinking. How did you ever go to school and get a master's degree? And then someone will come to tell you that you have to come to church every day of the week. Every morning, some people are having up to 5, 6 devices, plugging into several prayer altars. It has become witchcraft. When you are supposed to be thinking with yourself, the psalmist says, in the quietness of my bed, I commune with my spirit. When you're supposed to be thinking of how the community can be developed, how your life can become better, you are in a prayer altar. What are you praying for? You're praying to buy a car or you are praying to build a house. And after the prayer, the person will say, okay, it's now time for offering. And all the prayer platforms I see online, they are monetized.
Except on Box Praise, we are not monetized. Macedonia Missions Call is not monetized.
No, I'm not saying it's bad to monetize, but I'm saying that these things are coming up with the objective of, okay, since one person did it, I don't have an issue with the one person who did it. That maybe that is what God sent him to do. But the very fact that you are following after that pattern is greed. So we have people who get into the church and they're exhausted, and then when they get to their place of work, they become useless. I have been exhausted by religious activities. I know what I'm telling you. You get back home, you can't think again. How can you go to school and then the person that is on the altar teaching you, all he can boast of is the Holy Spirit? If you want to grow and you know the urgency of leadership in this world, you will do a background check on your pastor first before you submit your head to him to pour speed on you. In many cases. So I thank God for what the servant of God is doing, Reverend Emmanuel. God bless you. This is a platform that is telling leaders to be prepared. You see, guide your heart with all diligence, including when you come across religious leaders. Still guide your heart. Because I've seen somebody in the name of God drove somebody to a point mentally, psychologically to a point that they carried their only family car and gave it to the altar. They say they are giving it to God. As if God is a human being that needs motor to drive.
There was even one that the lady wanted to give, I think, all these cash donations. She wanted to give, I think, 1,005 or something, and accidentally put 2 zeros. So she gave 150 instead of 15, and the pastor refused to return the money. So it was until she took him to social media, it was really embarrassing, before the funds were released. Thank you so much, sir. I want to ask because I think because of our time that which
Mhm.
is flying,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, time is not our friend. I just want to ask because this is something which we've discussed several times. I know God has put some a new fire in your heart around leadership and making sure we get things right. I think this needs a longer conversation. I think we need to have like a special session for leadership where people can come and ask questions. I notice there's not been a lot of questions, and that's because what you are delivering is hitting home. Um, I think we need to have a session whereby we can come and talk about some of these things. Because one of the things we've not talked about, which I would have loved us to talk about, is the challenges of leadership. Because there are some people as well that when you try to be a good leader in some form or you try your best, all they specialize in doing is bringing you down. All they specialize in doing
Mhm.
is trying to put you in a position whereby you lose, your confidence, your hope. And there's some people who will demotivate you that will make you even think, is it worth it? So I want us to have time to really treat this. Please, anyone who is interested in such in a leadership session like this, please put it in the chat that I'm interested so that we can set one up. As we begin to wrap up, because a lot of people may be unaware as well. Thank you, sir. There's a program that is going on as well
The
today called
carpenters.
the Carpenters, of which I was humbly invited to speak on today. And today it's coming to an end. Let me bring it to our screen. It's coming to an end. It's called the Carpenters. Let me just bring down the. So we'll share the link. I would highly encourage everyone to make today and go to the YouTube and the Facebook, especially the Facebook for Macedonia, missions call, and watch things that's happened on Friday. I was there throughout on Friday. I was there throughout on Saturday, and I'll be speaking with Apostle later in another maybe 1 hour's time,
Yeah.
on things around leadership. So it's themed The Carpenter. I want to encourage anyone who has the opportunity. We'll put the link in this chat so that anyone can click on the link. Please make sure you attend. I'm sure it's going to be powerful. Okay, I think there are a few people responding. People are saying, I'm blessed. This really heart touching. Okay, someone's come up with a question. Okay, yeah. So I have my, even though she's a mentor, she's someone that challenges me about her willingness, humbleness to always learn. So we've had a few people as well say they're interested. So, sir, I think we need to look for another session on leadership to really talk about this because there are few people who would be interested in understanding what leadership really means and how to become better leaders and all the complexities it involves, like understanding when people are plotting and scheming, how to handle, progressiveness, how to avoid brainwash, and all those things. So today's session might not be adequate, but we would.
Mhm.
So I would. I've got 3 people saying they're interested, so we would organize that. So we're closing down now. Anyone who has any questions, please let us know. We'll take maybe 1 or 2, then wrap up. So there's a question to someone, this Pastor Amos, since he said, I have a question. What should one do when you find your leader who is jealous of what you carry, being threatened by you, even, when you are really submissive?
Now, That question is
Oh, sorry, we can't hear you.
okay. Is it okay now?
Maybe it's me.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Now, when a leader is jealous concerning you, even when you are very submissive, I wouldn't want to blame the leader. I'd like you to take the responsibility. First of all, did you take the time to study who the leader is?
Mm. Mm.
Because I used to have a principle while I was growing up. Once I attend a meeting and I see that they have started to lay hands on people, I walked away from the meeting. Because I don't want somebody to place hands on me when I don't understand what you are carrying.
Mm.
Your 2 hours of message does not define who you are or what you are saying. You must have, it is possible to go and carry an entire note from somewhere else and just come and re-echo it.
Mm.
But that's not who you are.
Mm.
So one of the things that you have to do is that before you submit to anyone who is a leader, don't do it in a hurry. Prayer is not enough. I have to say that. Prayer is not enough. You need to ask questions. Because a leader who becomes jealous of someone who is under him and practically submissive in all way is a leader who is not growing. So he's not reacting against you, he's reacting against his low self-esteem.
Hmm.
That's it. And we have them plenty in our Christendom, plenty of them.
Hmm.
How can you be a pastor? You are preaching at least 2 times a week. You can't read one book in 1 week.
Mm.
In this jet of knowledge. Okay, you think we will come and listen to you when you have nothing to say?
Hmm.
So what you do is that when you discover that your growth is becoming intimidated to your leader by his actions, it's time to use the exit door.
Mm.
Go and look for a leader that has the capacity that can match up with what you carry.
Mm. Hmm.
And that's why I tell young ministers all the time. I say before you submit under any church, tell them to give you their doctrinal papers.
Hmm.
Don't just go and pray and then you come and say I was led by the Lord. The words that you must be careful of saying is that the Lord asked me to submit to you. As soon as you pronounce that word, you have stripped yourself from your authority.
Mm.
Because if that leader doesn't know how to handle you, you can become a voluntary prisoner.
Ah.
And that prison, you were not arrested by police. You arrested yourself. So if you are listening to me right now, before you submit to any leader, pray. Take your time to pray. And then after your prayer, ask questions. Because you must understand the personality behind the leadership.
Mm.
In order for you not to get caught up with the sensationalism of their glamour.
Mm.
And
Thank you.
that,
Thank
so
you so
that's why.
much, sir. I wish we can continue for another 1 hour because this is such an important, and I know that there's so much you want to unpack, but
Yes.
because of time. So by grace of God, we've had a few people indicate interest. We would organize it and we'll let everyone know when it's happening. And so please make sure you invite other people. Like we all know, leadership is the bane of development, and we have a responsibility. At times, maybe we can change the leadership in our own power, but at least we can help educate people. When we do the event, make sure you invite as many people as possible who are leaders, who are intending leaders, or who you believe will benefit. And for the rest, anyone as well, please make sure you join us at the Carpenters this evening. Just to also say something before we move on, next week would continue by same time, 7 p.m. But next week is going to be special. We have ministration from Minister Stephen Ricoto from Zuru. He and the team composed a brand new song. Unfortunately, the editing wasn't completed in time for today, but we would have it next week. Don't miss it. Unbox Praise is the home of true worship, and we'll be having other ministers as well who will be joining us from next, so please make sure you are around next week. So I'll just give you in 30 seconds, sir. What are your final thoughts and something you want everybody to go home with?
Everyone is born to be a leader, but your influence determines how well prepared you are.
Mm.
And how do you get prepared? Have the habit of studying the biography of great men. The history of the world is nothing but the biography of great men.
Mm.
Study their biography.
Mm.
Read books of great minds.
Mm.
Be disciplined. You see, when you are prepared, an opportunity shows up, you begin to shine. Yesterday, one of our guests in the Carpenter said, your season is predicated by your level of knowledge and awareness.
Mm.
So prepare yourself. Always prepare yourself. If you want to be a leader, you don't have time for gossip. Like me, I don't have time for gossip. I'm too busy. The time I'm supposed to use to gossip you for 2 hours, I've read like 6 chapters of a book. And then when you want to read the book of anybody, use what I call the SQ3 method, which we'll talk about it in the leadership. First, you have to scan through the book. Who wrote the book? You don't just buy book and begin to read it. Because the food you consume will determine what you deliver.
Mm.
There are a lot of wrong concepts in books that are written by men who nobody knows them, no track record of being profound. There are so many books that are produced because the authors are hungry, not that they have substance. Let me stop.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So please don't miss it. I can see a lot of people have logged out, but I understand. So thank you, everyone. We'll organize the leaders thing. If you are able to join us later on, we're continuing our conversation on the Carpenters. And God bless you. Have a great week, everyone. Love you all and be blessed.
And you will never ever change. You are the Lord. You